תרצו, אם תרצו, אין זו אגדה, אין זו אגדה, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, בארץ ציון בירושלים. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, if you will it. It is not a dream. Theodore Herzl, what a perfect night to speak his words, sing his words.
Absolutely.
Sing his words. We celebrated Yom HaAtzmaut this week. Last Shabbat, you were here with our special speaker, and we have bookended our two Shabbatot focused on celebrating and raising up that which is beautiful and joyful in Israel. So thank you, and welcome to everyone. Shabbat Shalom to everyone here in our sanctuary. We're so happy to have a congregation, and Shabbat Shalom to all of you who are with us on the live stream. Shabbat Shalom to our B'nai Mitzvah families, who we're going to turn to in just a moment. Just so glad, just to all of us who are here, remember your books are either under your seat or behind your seat at the back. To all of us all of you who are on the live stream, you can click on the icon just above this picture and follow in our prayer book, Mishkan Tefillah. What have I forgotten?
I think that's it. Everyone should participate.
Be
Sing
ready
along.
to go. Sing along at home, sing along wherever you are. Robin, if we've got the wrong books for you, look at a different set of seats. Looks like we maybe didn't have enough. Okay, there they are. Okay, we're good. Everybody in the sanctuary is good. All of you at home, we hope you're good too. And we begin, as we always do, with the lighting of Shabbat candles. We are so pleased that we have two young people becoming B'nai Mitzvah on this Shabbat, tomorrow morning, Leah and Jonah. And their parents, their families are standing at home together. We're going to go to them on Zoom. We welcome the Ormland family, the Phillip family, and Shabbat Shalom to you. And we turn it over to you guys to lead us in candle lighting for the congregation. We're on page 2. To all of you who are with us on the live stream,
these Shabbat candles
Shabbat
give
Shalom
light to
our
all who
B'nai
behold
Mitzvah
them,
families,
so may we,
who we're
by our
going to
lives,
turn to in
give
just a
light to all
moment.
who behold us.
Just
As
so
their
glad,
brightness
just to all of
reminds
us who are
us of
here,
the
remember
generations
your
of
books
Israel
are
who
either
have
under your
kindled
seat
light.
or behind. Can we?
We are on a pause.
Okay, Hannah, you can pause.
God is waiting for us.
It sounds like the tech people weren't ready to start Shabbat when we were.
Exactly.
All of you at home, we hope you're good too. And we begin, as we always do, with the lighting of Shabbat candles. We are so pleased that becoming B'nai Mitzvah on this Shabbat, tomorrow morning, Leah and Jonah. To go to them on Zoom, we welcome the Ormland family, the Phillip family, and Shabbat Shalom to you. And we turn it over to you guys to lead us in candle lighting for the congregation. We're on page 2.
How are you doing that, Rabbi
With
Schwartzman?
us on the live stream.
I'm
not even moving my lips. Families,
So may we,
Graham,
by our lives,
Graham, will you tell us
give light
when
to
we
all
can
who
go to the families? Okay,
brightness
just to all of
reminds
us who are
of the
here. Hang on, families, we're going to wait. Okay, we have the thumbs up. We turn to the Ormland and the Phillip family, and over to you for your reading. Thank you for your patience, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words of we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
We will sing together here in the sanctuary the words of the candle blessing. We're on page 2, everyone, as we join together in song. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you all so much, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at your B'nai Mitzvah services. So thank you for being with us tonight. We are going to turn to Kabbalat Shabbat now, to the prayers that help us prepare ourselves for the main part of our service. It's on page 12 with L'chuna Ranana. We begin with L'chuna Ranana, page 12, Psalm 95. L'chuna Ranana l'Adonai nariya l'tzor yishenu. L'chuna Ranana l'Adonai nariya l'tzor yishenu. Nikadma fanav betoda bizmirot nariya lo. L'chuna Ranana l'Adonai nariya l'tzor yishenu. Nikadma fanav betoda bizmirot nariya lo. Ki el gadol Adonai umelech gadol al kol Elohim asher beyado mekerei haaretz metoafot harim lo. Asher beyado mekerei haaretz metoafot harim lo. Yalalai, alai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 lai. Page 13. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai, barechu shemo, basru miyom liyom yeshuato, sapru v'goyim kevodo, v'chol ha'amim nifleotav, ki gadol Adonai, umchulal me'od, nora'u, al kol Elohim, yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai. page 22. We sing the psalm for Shabbat, and especially as we think on Yom HaAtzmaut of those date palms in Israel, we sing about Tzaddik Katamar in the middle of page 22. Tzaddik Katamar Yifrak, Yifrak, Tzaddik Katamar Yifrak, Tzaddik Katamar Yifrak, Yifrak, Tzaddik Katamar Yifrak, Ke'erez Balavanon Yiske, Ke'erez Balavanon Yiske, Ke'erez Balavanon Yiske, Yiske, Ke'erez Balavanon Yiske, Ke'erez Balavanon Yiske, Ke'erez Balavanon Yiske, Yiske. Tzaddik Katama Yifrak, Yifrak, Tzaddik Katama Yifrak, Tzaddik Katama Yifrak, Yifrak, Tzaddik Katama Yifrak, Ke'erez Balavanon Yiske, Ke'erez Balavanon Yiske, Ke'erez Balavanon Yiske, Yiske.
I don't know about all of us here in the sanctuary. I feel very warmed up. That was a great welcoming of Shabbat, a great Kabbalat, which means welcoming of Shabbat. And now we make our way towards the more formal part of our service, which starts with the call to worship the Baruch Hu. It's on page 28 in your prayer book. If you're comfortable rising in body or in spirit, join us as we sing this first official prayer together.
Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai.
And we continue on page 30. It is a beautiful, slightly brisk, but the beginning of spring is in the air. Let us acknowledge the wonder of this evening. Right now we see the sun setting behind the light green trees. Join me in the Hebrew if you're comfortable. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah potech she'arim, uvidvuna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem birakia kirtzono. Bore yom v'layla, golel or mipnei hoshech, v'hoshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil bein yom uvein layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamim yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opening the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name, ever living God. May you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening, And blessed are you, Adonai, as well, who gives us a sense of oneness, oneness with nature and oneness with each other. We shout out to that oneness in the words of the Shema on page 34.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam
Won't you be seated and join us in chanting V'ahavta? It's on page 36.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele Asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha veshinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shiftecha bevetecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha Ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, uchtavtam amzuzot beitecha, uvish'arecha, leman tiskeru, va'asitem et kol mitzotai, vitem kedoshim leloechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher Chotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Our tradition, the prayers in the prayer books, the songs we sing, help to lift us up, to affirm our values, but they also ground us in the real world. The song to which we are headed, the prayer to which we are headed, is Mi Chamocha. It speaks of redemption. It harkens back to our redemption as a people, but it reminds us all the time that we must work to redeem our world. While there is joy in this sanctuary for all of us being together, we know this has been a week of pain for our country and our world. From COVID to racial violence, to discrimination, to fires, to pains, all over our world we are faced with challenges. Let us sing a song of redemption, being reminded that it is our job to continually work towards that end.
Chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh norat hilot osef ele norat hilot osef ele malchut chara uvanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe Miriam Zeilianu ve'amru Zeilianu ve'amru Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed שנאמר כי ברא אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
And won't you join me at the top of page 43 as we continue the theme of hope for a world that is protected, where everyone is safe, where our community is whole. Please join me at the top of the page. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. And on the next page, a song of Shabbat, V'shamru.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. We rise for Hatfilah, page 46 in our prayer books, as we join together in chant. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Page 48. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chaste Avod ve'Imaot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'nehem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Page 50. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol, Atah rav le'oshia, morid hatal, mechalkel chaim bechesed, mechaye akol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofeh cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishene afar. Michamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman nata lehachayot hakol, baruch ata Adonai, mechayeh hakol. On page 52, we continue together in English. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. You may be seated. Page 55. Let's read together at the top of the page. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Blessed are you, O God, who sanctifies the Sabbath. Page 57, we sing the words of Ritzeh, our prayer to remind us about Zion, which is what we're doing tonight anyway, but we have this in our prayers, in our prayer book. Every service reminds us of originally the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. For us, it is our acknowledgement of prayer in our lives. Ritzeh. Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu Amcha Yisrael. Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu Amcha Yisrael. Utfilatam be'ahava tekabel. Utfilatam be'ahava tekabel. Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael. Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael. Utehi leratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha. Utefi leratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha. Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael. Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai she'otecha levadecha be'ir hanavot. turn now to the prayers of our own hearts as we pray silently. Say shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Oh, say shalom bimromav, Aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Page 253, we find our prayers for healing. Mi sheberach avotenu ve'imotenu Avraham Yitzhak ve'Yaakov ve'imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel ve'Leah hu yivarech et hacholim. We remember these members of our congregation and our community who are on beds of illness and need our prayers for their healing. Alon ben Barbara, Hannah Esther bat Krendel, Yehuda ben Fischel, Benjamin Cohen Mars, Babette Cohn, Benaifer Devar, Elizabeth Drabkin, Rachel Duff, Marcy Friedman, Claire Furbush, Jamie Hecker, Martha Kelly, Nancy Klein, Louis Landsberg, Piper Williams, and Linda Wu. And we pray too for all those who are victims of violence here in this country, seemingly many places in this country lately, in Israel and around the world, as well as those in service to our country who need emotional, physical, and spiritual healing. We go around the sanctuary if you'd like to add a name to those that I mentioned. And at home, if you're saying a name, please do so at this time. Hakadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachamim Aleichem Lechacha Limam Urapotam Lechacha Zikam Vishlach Lechem Mehera Refuah Shlema Min Hashamayim Refuat HaNefesh Refuat HaGuf Hashta Ba'agala Vizman Kariv and Omar Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal all those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, as together we say, Amen. And we sing the words of Mishaberach, the second verse. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Well, as we mentioned, we've talked about Yom HaAtzmaut. Yesterday was Yom HaAtzmaut, Israel's Independence Day. 73 years ago, on this Shabbat, on the 5th day of Iyar in 1948, Israel became a state. Tonight, Rabbi Schwartzman and I wanted to celebrate Israel's birthday in music with you. And since it's Israel, it comes with a little controversy too.
Of course.
The controversy comes with the national anthem, Hatikva. Now, unlike in the United States, where the Star-Spangled Banner was written 38 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence, Israel's national anthem, Hatikva, was written first as a poem more than 60 years before Israel signed its Declaration of Independence. Let's take a look at this poem. It's in your prayer books. If you want to turn to that page 374 in your prayer books, and if you're watching at home and you're using the prayer book online, you can just type into the bottom of the online book there 374, and that'll take you to the Hatikva. And we're gonna sing together the words of Hatikva. You don't have to stand for this, even though it is the national anthem, since we're doing this as a learning opportunity. So we'll sing together. Kol od balevav penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulfate mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia od lo tikvatenu hatikva shnot alpayim liot am chofshi be'artzenu eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim liot am chofshi be'artzenu Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim.
So beautiful, and it's so known to all of us. We know those words, we know that song, but maybe we are less familiar with the translation, so let me share it. The words we just sang mean, so long as within the inmost heart a Jewish spirit sings, so long as the eye looks eastward, gazing toward Zion, our hope is not lost. The hope of 2,000 years to be a free people in our land, the land of Zion and Jerusalem. The poem was originally called Tikvatenu, Our Hope, and written by a 25-year young poet from Galicia, which is now Ukraine, by the name of Naphtali Hertz Imber. He wrote this poem and others in a poetry book published in 1886, a few years after Imber moved to Palestine with the first Aliyah. The poem originally had 9 verses, and it had no melody attached to it. It was just a poem. Imber would travel around the land reading his poetry to the pioneers, and his poems were well received. Over time, the long poem was reduced to just 2 stanzas and gradually became the Zionist movement's unofficial anthem.
Around the same time, a Romanian turned Israeli pioneer and winemaker named Samuel Cohen, who settled in Rishon LeZion during the first Aliyah, thought Imber's poem fit nicely to a melody of a folk song that he remembered from Romania called Carol cu Boi. Listen to it.
Pânce, electricitate, căi ferate și vapori, încă nu erau aflate, mergeau toate fără zor, căci bătrânii erau moi, își mânau caruri cu boi, păișcea, 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 păișcea.
And it's also based on a similar melody that can be heard from a Czech song called Die Moldau. These songs had no connection to Imber's Tikvatenu. But Samuel Cohen thought they fit well together, and so he starts singing Imber's poem to this melody. People like it so much so that it spreads quickly around then Palestine.
There's more to the story, no surprise. A few years later, in 1903, in Basel, Switzerland, the 6th Zionist Congress met. There, Zionists voted to create a temporary state. You may remember, if you are following all your Israel history, not in Israel, but originally in this year in Uganda. A group opposed this idea and stood up to convince their peers not to make East Africa the Jewish homeland. So they began singing none other than Hatikva. They sang Ayin Litzion Sophia, the eye looks toward Zion. It worked, and that moment is when Hatikva became the unofficial anthem of the country that did not yet exist. The anthem's popularity spread rapidly around the country and, of course, became the official anthem in 1948. But there have been many people who have felt that Hatikva should actually not be the anthem, including Theodor Herzl himself, the founder of the Zionist movement. Herzl disliked the poem and its author. He felt Imber was an embarrassment to Zionism. Others say the song is actually racist, as it speaks of those whose Jewish spirits sing and not the Arab community. They are not included in this song, yet they live in the land of Israel too. Religious Israelis, they objected to the lack of reference to God or Torah. And others saw the inclusion of the words, so long as the eye looks to the east, gazing upon Zion, as not fitting because it doesn't speak to the Jews who live in Israel itself. Those words speak only to the Jew who lives in the diaspora and gazes towards Zion.
One Knesset politician, Uri Avneri, who proposed a new anthem in the Knesset, said of Hatikva, He said, quote, "It is about Jews somewhere abroad who are longing for the land of Israel. It has nothing to do with the people in the land of Israel. I don't turn to the east because I live in the middle. The east I am looking at is Jordan or India or China. It is a completely irrelevant song." But both Herzl and later Avneri's attempt to change the anthem failed, as Hatikva had too much grassroots popularity both in Israel and in the diaspora. And so while the song has a controversial history, it remains the official anthem. But the song that Uri Avneri suggested to Knesset to replace Hatikva as the anthem was none other than Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, one of the most popular songs in modern-day Israel. Jerusalem of Gold, the English title. It was written in 1967 by Naomi Shemer and made famous by Israeli singer Shuli Natan, who some of us sang with when we were in Shir Harmony. Do you remember that? You don't remember that. I remember that. It wasn't even a song she sang it at and debuted it at a song in the Israeli Song Festival in 1967, but it wasn't even a song in the competition. Rather, it was a song sung to fill time while the judges were tallying up their votes of which song should win the competition. Jerusalem Mayor Teddy Kollek, you remember him? He wanted the audience to hear some new Israeli songs about Jerusalem during that period of waiting for the judges. And so the Song Festival's music director invited up-and-coming songwriter Naomi Shemer to write a new song about Jerusalem to be sung during the break. The story is that Naomi struggled to write it. How could she capture the holiness of Jerusalem, where generations of psalmists and poets wrote longingly for the land for thousands of years? She went to a then divided Jerusalem, half Israel, half Jordan, and took in the sights, the sounds, and the smells. She remembered a story from the Talmud about Rabbi Akiva, who gave a piece of jewelry to his wife as a thank you for encouraging him to study Torah. The gold jewelry had an etching of Jerusalem on it. Shemer's song, Jerusalem of Gold, Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, was born.
Because we're going to come back to it. It's on page 356. And this was, as you can imagine, a huge success. A success at the Song Festival, more popular than any of the songs in the actual competition. The radio replayed it over and over. People sang it as a prayer, an expression of longing for a Jerusalem they couldn't touch. It was also sung by soldiers who were preparing for war, and just weeks later, when paratroopers entered the Old City and regained control of it, they began singing these words. One of the verses of the song that you can read on page 357 reads, "How the cisterns have dried up, the market square is empty, no one attends to the Temple Mount in the Old City." But Naomi Shemer, hearing that the Old City was again in the hands of her beloved country, then added another verse to the song. "We have returned to the cisterns, to the market, and to the square. A shofar calls out on the Temple Mount." It became one of the most recognizable and most beloved Israeli songs ever. A song written by an Israeli in both word and melody, with a connection to the Talmud and to the sights and the smells and the sounds of the land of Israel. For many, although not official, this is the anthem of Israel. So let's sing it together.
אוויר הרים צלול כיין וריח אורנים נישא ברוח הארבעים עם כל פעמונים ובתרדמת אילן ואבן שבויה בחלומה העיר אשר בדד יושבת ובליבה חומה ירושלים זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור. ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור. The olive trees that stand in silence upon the hills of time, to hear the voices of the city as bells of evening chime, the shofar sounding from the temple to call the world to prayer. A shepherd pauses in the valley and peace is everywhere. Yerushalayim shel zehav v'shel nechoshet v'shel or, halo lechol shirayich ani kinor. Yerushalayim shel zahav v'shel nechoshet v'shel or, halo lechol shirayich ani kinor, kinor. Judging from the way people reacted to hearing those melodies, I think there are people here who would say that does make a good anthem.
Anthem.
It does.
Thumbs are going up in the sanctuary. Thumbs are going up. It's such a touching song. Brings tears to my eyes. And I know many of you who've been to Jerusalem with us. Two of us together. Do you remember when we did services in front of the windmill on the King David on the grass? The sun was setting and it was Jerusalem of gold.
It was.
So remember that? So spectacular. I look forward to when we go back. We will go back, especially to Israel, the country in the world that has got the best safety going on for COVID.
Absolutely.
So now hard to follow that, but we're coming back to our prayer book, to page 282. And okay, you're going to open the ark and I'll stay here. And if you're comfortable rising, if you'd like to stand either in spirit or in body and join us for Aleinu L'Shabeach 282.
Aleinu L'Shabeach Ladon HaKol, Lateit Gedula Liotze Breshit, Shehu Notesh Shamayim V'Yoser Aretz, Umoshav Yikaro Bashamayim Ima'al, Ushchinat Uzo Begovhei Meromim, Hu Eloheinu Einod, Va'anachnu Koreim, Umishtachavim Umodim, Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'nemar Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
We turn now to prayers that move us towards a moment of memory. We will, in a few moments, recite Kaddish Tome. In preparation, we take a moment with our own thoughts of those we have loved and lost, or a moment to reflect through the poems, readings that are between page 288 and page 294. I invite you to take a moment or two in preparation for what I know is for many of you reciting Kaddish for someone whom you have loved and lost. In sharing the names of people we remember on this Shabbat, we begin by extending condolences to two temple families who have lost loved ones whose funerals have not yet taken place, to the family of Henry Lowenstern, a longtime member of Temple Road of Shalom, and to Beulah Levy and her family on the death of her husband, Alan Levy. His funeral will be next week. And to these names, we add the names of people who have died in the last month. We extend our love and support to these people who are in the early stages of mourning. To Daniel, Jaron, and Nathan Hoffman on the death of their wife and mom, Kimberly. To Judith Macon Ladenburg on the death of her husband, Jerry. To Phoebe Gray on the death of her daughter, Lisa Sue Gray. To Jan Pomerantz on the death of her mother, Ethel. And Deborah Liederman on the death of her dad, Herbert Liederman. To Christopher Belvedere on the death of his mother, Gertrude, and Robert Kasdan on the loss of his father, Richard Kasdan. To Christy Schwartz on the loss of her mother, Sandra, and to Jim Romanowski on the death of his brother-in-law, Bill Dahlberg. And to these names, we add the names of people whose yahrzeits fall on this Shabbat each year. Caroline Bailey, Andre Bernheim, Shirley Bernstein, Muriel Bykoff, Elkanah Billick, Seidel Carmen, William Cohan, Sanford Cohen, Jack Cooper, Eugene Dahl, Abraham Dechter, Carol Duchin, Irving Eichis, Lee Feist, Charles Feit, Molly Fink, George Flamme, Sarah Fox, Lois Gibson, Irene Gold, Roy Gold, Irving Goldstein, Rose Goldstein, Harold Grafer, Hattie Greenroth, Carl Grosser, Charles Hilborn, Ira Hirschman, Sela Horn, Jerry Joseph, Laura and Norman Karsh, Frida Kessel, Robert Kennedy, Ira Coleman, Rita Kozlovsky, Louis Lastic, Arnold Levin, Harold Lawrence, Rabbi Arthur Lillyveld, Larry Lester, Benjamin Levin, Stella Levine, Nelville Levy, Hilda Levy, Irving Mallower, Steve Mandel, Gerald Mincer, Donna Mittenthal, Doris Morachver, Dan Newman, Inez Pachter, Rita Perlman, Gary Prescott, Irving Rifkin, Diane Samuels, Alvin Schlesinger, Bernard Schlosser, Fred Schneider, Pamela Schwartz, Dorothy Seidel, Eileen Simon, Harry Smiley, George Tevsky, Benjamin Olander, Rex Warnix, Michael Weiner, Everett Wilcox Sr., Eric Willens. And let me pause for a moment, inviting you to speak a name aloud at home or here. If I mispronounce the name, my apologies, and I hope you'll say that name again. And we'll just take a moment to hear any extra names. Thank you. On page 294, we join our mourners, standing with them, supporting them in reciting the Mourner's Kaddish. Again, page 294. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabba, v'yalma divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chaye chon uv'yome chon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam omei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei d'kudisha b'richu, le'olam mimkol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imeru, amen. Yehe shmei Rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace and comfort and strength and love and support to everyone who is grieving, to everyone who is mourning, here and everywhere, and let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Won't you please be seated? And we're grateful that Lynn Lodenberg is with us. She's a member of our board, and she's going to continue to be a member of our board and leadership. Thanks, Lynn, for offering some greetings and sharing some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you, Rabbi Schwartzman, Cantor, Shochet, and the wonderful musicians. It was really great to be able to be in a room with live music for a change. During these challenging times, it's difficult to convey the audacious hospitality that Temple Erev Shalom prides itself on. We'd like to, that's the practice of radical welcoming and reinforces our belief that we're stronger, richer, healthier community when we reflect the diversity of modern Jewish life. So for those of you who are joining us via streaming tonight, we hope that you get an opportunity to join us in person soon when we're able to do so. We'd love to welcome you properly and share more about our community with you. To the members of our Temple family who got to join us in person, it's great to see you and wonderful to welcome you back to our sacred space. To those of you who haven't had an opportunity yet, I highly recommend it. I'd like to say Mazel Tov to Leah and Jonah, who will become B'nai Mitzvah tomorrow. We're proud of you and know that your family and friends are as well. And there's a few upcoming events I'd like to share with you. The first is on Sunday at 4, the Dayenu Climate Action Circle with Representative Jerry Connolly. He'll meet with members of the Temple and other participants to discuss the U.S. government's response to the climate emergency. Then on Wednesday at 7 p.m., Cantor Leader is leading a session on Sacred Sparks, Learning and Meditation, so feel free to join that if you would like. And Friday, if you're planning to join next Saturday for a Wiccan of Flick, where they'll be talking about Jojo Rabbit, please make sure you watch the film on Amazon Prime or Hulu in advance, and then you can join everyone for a Havdalah service and discussion of the movie. And you can check the e-letter for and the latest edition of The Connection for all the other things that are upcoming at Temple Erev Shalom. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Thanks, Lynn. Shabbat Shalom. We turn in our prayer books to page 5 and we rise for the Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ava uvratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
And we conclude our service with the singing of Salam Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. It's in your prayer books on page 353. Page 353, all about peace. Peace will surely come to us for everyone. Salam, shalom for us and for the entire world. And thank you again to our musicians, to our technical crew, and to all of you for being here on this Shabbat. Let's sing together and remain standing for the final benediction. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam.
Indeed, O Javo Shalom Aleinu, let us strive for peace. Let us always keep tikva, hope, whether it's our anthem or not. It is something to which we aspire, something we keep in our hearts. Let us hope that we can transform the world to make it a better place. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.